Right, if you are watching this video, it is either because you are unhappy with your physique, you're out of shape, or maybe you are in decent shape, but you know you could be doing a lot better. Or maybe you're just interested in physique development. Now, in this video, we're going to go through all of the key fundamentals it takes to build your physique, to achieve your dream physique, and we're going to discuss things that you will not have seen on any other fitness channels, potentially. The first step in order to achieve your dream physique is you need to be honest with yourself. You need to actually recognize where you're currently at and where you want to be. Right? You cannot get somewhere if you don't know where you're going. Right? Now, most people watching this don't want to look like Chris Bumstead. They just want to have a fit, strong, healthy, capable, high energy physique that they can be proud of when they take their top off. Right? That is the goal for most men. In order to get there, you need to recognize where you're currently at. So for me, on the left there, that was actually, I've been training for 7 years at that point, but I had done a bulk, it got out of control, I was just getting fatter, chasing scale weights, and when I took this photo, that was a wake-up call and a realization that, you know what, I am not happy with my physique. If I keep doing this, I'm just going to get worse each year, I'm not going to be happy. And yeah, it's just not going to be a good place mentally for me to be if I keep going with these habits. I need to do something different. So the reason I actually look like this, despite having 7 years of training, by the way, and for me, this is considered really out of shape. For other people, they may not consider it that out of shape because I've got some chest, I've got some muscle on my arms, but it's out of shape. And the number one reason was a lack of accountability. It was very easy for me to say, oh yeah, I'm just going to get through this week and then next week I'll do things properly. I'll do things properly next week. I'll sleep better, I'll eat better. To get brushing it off, right? There was no accountability. 2 was the victim mentality. Blaming my physique on my genetics. Or if I had that guy's genetics, I would look like him. If this was better, then I'd be in better shape. Just never, again, taking accountability and not holding myself to a high enough standard. And that was reflected in my daily actions, and then that was also reflected in my physique. Your physique is a daily reflection of you, right? When people see your physique, it tells them a lot about you and the way you operate. And 3, there was just no planning. So I entered this bulk with I'm just going to bulk and go with it, right? No thoughtful planning at all. Now, this photo here, this is during this lean bulk that I'm on now. This is day 300 something of the lean bulk. Currently on day 580 something. We'll touch on that in a moment. But the number one reason that's allowed me to achieve my dream physique is I had a reason why. You need to have a deep-rooted motivation. This is going to be different for everyone. For me, this was, I just don't want to go through my whole 20s, 30s and 40s and then the rest of my life never experiencing what it's like as a man to be in top shape, high energy, strong, capable, feel amazing, confident. I didn't want to go through my whole, prime years of my life never experiencing that. And I recognized that if something doesn't change, those years are going to pass me by very quickly, and that will be the reality. I would have been in my 30s and 40s and 50s, fat, out of shape, unhealthy, and not good. So that was my reason. And also, I just love training too. I love going to the gym. 2 was doing the small things regardless of how I feel. Now, this is still a work in progress for me, and this is the hardest thing to do, I think, because your emotions are always going to change throughout the week. But being focused on what you need to do regardless of how you feel can really accelerate your progress, right? Because if they just do things when they feel like it, they can still get somewhere, but those days where they don't feel like it, it's essentially wasted time. So doing things regardless of how you feel, really accelerates your progress in everything, not just fitness. 3 was I had a long-term plan. So as I mentioned, this was day 300 something of a lean bulk. When I started this lean bulk, I said to myself, I am going to lean bulk for 365 days straight. I don't care what I see on social media. I'm not going to start cutting because I see someone lean on social media. I'm not going to change my plan. I'm going to stick to it regardless, and that's going to build some real inner confidence that my word means something to myself. And that's what I did. Got to day 365, was really happy with the progress. Then I extended the bulk, and I just keep extending it. And I'm on day 580 something. I will be ending it soon, day 600 something, starting my cuts. But long-term plan is what you need. You need to basically say to yourself, by this age, I want to look like this. I'm going to bulk for this long. I'm then going to cut for this long. Then I'm going to maintain my physique. You need to have a plan that you can stick to, right? If you don't, you're just going to go through the motions and you're going to keep procrastinating, you're going to keep going back and forth, bulking, cutting, or maybe you're not even in the gym watching this, maybe you don't even work out, but you need to have a plan regardless of where you're currently at, whether you've been training for 1 month or 10 years. If you're unhappy with your physique, you need to have a long-term plan. 4 was I set performance-based goals. In the past, I'd set more, weight-based goals on the scale. Like, I need to weigh this amount and then I'll look and feel good. I kept on doing that for years. Whether I was cutting or bulking, it was always the case. And that got me absolutely nowhere, because you get addicted to chasing that scale weight. It gives you that dopamine hit. Oh, the scale's gone up, the scale's gone down. It makes you feel a certain way, and you chase it and you forget what actually matters and what's actually important when it comes to looking good. When we're walking around in the streets, we don't have a label on our head telling people how much we weigh. Nobody cares how much you weigh, and you yourself shouldn't care how much you weigh. You should care about how you look and how you feel. Those are the most important things. Setting performance-based goals really helped with that. Getting stronger in the gym in a smart and intelligent way and not injuring myself really, really helped. So what is the process of maximizing physique development? The first step is what I like to call the blank canvas. You need to essentially strip things back to basics, get your physique in a responsive position to build muscle, right? Even if your goal is not to be massive and big and jacked, you still need to have a lot of muscle. And if you're a natural lifter, you'll never have to worry about having too much muscle or being too big. It's not going to happen, okay? But getting your body fat down to a certain percentage where you can then build is the first step. The second step is actually building your physique, right? And this is what takes the months and years. It's what takes the most work. 3 is the consolidation phase. This is where we pretty much solidify those results. We teach our body that this is now our new normal. If you've been fat and out of shape, or skinny, fat and out of shape for most of your life, your body now considers that it's new normal. It's new homeostasis, right? In order to build a physique and maintain it, you need to, of course, first get there, but then you need to teach your body that this is our new normal. So whenever you're injured or stressed or ill and you have to take time off the gym, you'll never get out of shape. You might deviate a little bit from your tip-top shape, but you'll never be completely out of shape, right? Because your body now considers that it's new normal, right? So once we get in shape, we need to spend time maintaining those results. Right, programming. Now this is the magic, right? This is how you actually build a physique. You need to consider these variables. Now, I will say training split, this is the least important thing when it comes to your program. Okay, you can make amazing results with any training split. Your training split will depend on 1, how many days of the week you can commit to and be consistent with. 2, it would actually be what you enjoy. 3 would be your specific goals. But even then, you can still make adjustments based on your goals. So it's not that important. Exercise sequencing, I would say, is actually the most important thing on this list. And this is essentially the sequence or the order in which we perform our exercises, right? If you're committing to a lean bulk for 6 to 12 months, the exercises you have at the end of your session should not be at the end of the session for the whole duration of that bulk, because you'll never maximize performance on those exercises, right? Imagine that let's say you do the incline dumbbell press. Imagine you do that at the end of your session for a whole bulk. Do you think you would be at the same strength that you are now? Or do you think you would get better? No, you wouldn't. You'd be always tired. You'd get through the sets and you'd call it there, you call it a day. You wouldn't be able to give it your all, give it your most efforts. So being able to rotate exercises in a strategic way over a long period allows you then to have no weak points. Your performance is top tier on every single exercise. You have a well-rounded physique. You're strong. Your joints are also strong in all those different positions because you prioritize different movement patterns. It's really, really important. Training volume. This again gets so much conversation on this topic. It's not super important. Okay, if you're going into your sessions and you think maybe you're doing too much volume, but you're progressing, everything feels good, then you're not. And on the other hand, if you're going into your sessions and you think you're doing too little volume, but you're progressing very nicely, then you're not doing too little volume either. Okay, if you're going into your sessions, you're progressing very nicely, very good, but you're always very sore, then I would say that's probably quite short-lived, and that amount of volume is not sustainable for you, and you might want to taper things down. But training volume, it's a bit of, people think, how many sets should I do per week? It just depends on so many factors. It depends on your current physique goals. What are you trying to prioritize? What kind of movements are you doing? What kind of split are you doing? This is where the split actually matters. Are you doing high frequency, low frequency? It really does depend, okay? Exercise selection, which is the next topic, also ties into training volume. If you're doing certain movements that are not stressful on the body, you can potentially do more volume. If you're doing things like, dips, RDLs, heavy squats, bench presses, things like this, you're not going to be able to do as much total sets and reps as someone that's doing just machine presses, just leg extensions, just machine glute hip thrust, things like that. Not that those exercises are bad, they're all good, they all have their place, but I'm saying they're not as stressful on the body from a nervous system and even a muscular perspective in a lot of the cases. Some machines, there are exceptions. So it does depend on that. Exercise choice, this also matters a lot as well. I hate to break it to you, but there are definitely exercises that are better than others when it comes to building muscle and getting in shape. And there are definitely key fundamental exercises that I recommend people have in their program in order to get the best results. Rest times, again, one of the most important things on this list as well. If I tell most people my rest times, they're quite shocked to hear it, but my rest times in my sessions are between 5 and 10 minutes. The only exception would be maybe a lateral raise would be a bit less, but pretty much all movement patterns are between 5 and 10 minutes. The heavier, more compound based are more 10 minutes, like dumbbell presses are rest between 8 and 10 minutes. Of course, my training sets, volume, exercises, they have to reflect that, otherwise I'll be in the gym all day. So everything is considered. My session time is still considered normal, around 1.5 hours thereabouts, sometimes less, sometimes more. But I'm going to make a separate video on all of these topics because I'm sure people will have questions on these, and I'll really go into detail on things you need to consider when you are deciding these variables. But the reason my rest times are so high is because I want to make sure every single set I have is the highest performance possible. So my weekly net stimulus for growth is at its absolute highest. Again, I'll touch on that more in a separate video because I'm sure you have questions regarding that. By the way, if you are currently still watching this video, because most people that nowadays have TikTok brain, they can't watch a video for more than 5 minutes, comment the word abs down below, abs, ABS, just so I can see who's actually watched until this point. I'm just curious how many people actually have the attention span to watch a slightly longer video. So if you watch this far, comment the word abs. Next topic is nutrition. Again, a really important one for people to consider. So depending on your goal, right, and also this ties into the first slide about recognizing and being honest with yourself. When it comes to assessing your goal, you need to consider what the game plan is, right? If you're fat, you don't want to bulk. If you're skinny, you don't want to cut. Of course, there are exceptions like with the skinny fat body composition, but you need to also have a game plan with that as well. But when it comes to nutrition with the lean bulk, the biggest mistake I see with bulking is people think they can eat their way to muscle growth. If I eat more, I'll get bigger, or put on more size. Size, aka, yes, you will, fat. There's no point, right? The way you lean bulk is you want to eat just a little bit above your maintenance calories, okay? Assess performance, get better in the gym, listen to your hunger levels, and then as you get more hungry, as you build more muscle, your calories will go up accordingly. Most people chase the scale away because they increase their food, but what you actually need to do is chase performance and let food increase as a byproduct of you building more muscle. As you build more muscle, you will be getting hungrier, and then you will need to eat more food accordingly, not the other way around. Most people eat more food to then build more muscle. It's not how it works. Now, there are some exceptions to that. If you're very lean, you'll get away with eating a bit more food, like a slightly larger surplus. The further you go into your bulk, the size of that surplus reduces. Okay? The total calories don't reduce, but the size of the surplus reduces. Because at that point, your body is not as responsive as it was when you first started the bulk, and it also doesn't need as much continuation of more food at that point either, because you're really trying to kind of squeeze out these gains where you can, and adding more food on top of that is not going to help. Okay, you just need enough food to fuel your sessions, recover, and that's it. Body recomposition. So if you are skinny fat, a lot of people that are skinny fat that come to me ask, should I bulk or cut? What I like to do with body recomposition people is have them sit at their maintenance calories for a while, build a good solid foundation of training performance, okay? And they'll build some muscle in that case as well, in that process, and then put them in a very, very small deficit where they are losing body fat, but they're still getting stronger, they're still building muscle, and over time their body composition is going to change. Okay, because you can still build muscle in a calorie deficit, just not the most ideal environment to do it. But it's definitely not ideal to be in a calorie surplus if you are not in a primed blank canvas position to do so. The cutting/fat loss phase, this is where a lot of people go wrong as well. When you are initially starting a fat loss phase, it does depend on how much fat you have. You want to be a bit more aggressive with the fat loss, right? So you want to get that fat off in the early stages quite quickly. The reason for that is your risk of muscle loss is pretty much zero, right? And your body is more than happy to give up a lot of fat. It doesn't need it. As you go further into the fat loss phase, you need to be a bit more mindful and strategic with your strategies as you get that fat off, and your focus will shift on maintaining performance. So important to maintain training performance as you get lean, to maintain your muscle. Okay, now maintaining training performance doesn't necessarily mean you're maintaining the exact numbers in the gym. It just means performance as a whole. So that could mean being more accurate with your sets, better technique, better range of motion. There's other variables that we can consider when maintaining performance. Now, depending on how much fat you want to lose and how fat you are, you can also implement, and this is why I recommend, strategic higher calorie days, or at least higher calorie periods, to give your body more fuel, more energy, keep your hormones in a good place, and just remove some diet fatigue that accumulates as you go through a calorie deficit. If you're going to be in a calorie deficit for a year, 6 months, we don't want to do that straight. We want to have higher calorie days where we come out of the deficit for a little bit, give your body some more fuel, and then we push again and get more fat off. If you're in a deficit straight for too long, your body sees that as a threat. Cortisol levels increase, testosterone comes down, the body finds it harder to give up that fat, and then at that point you're working harder for less results. Okay, it's really important that you recognize fat loss is not about working super hard. It's really about working efficiently, working with your body, not against it. Most people work against their body when it comes to fat loss, and they really punish it. Now, of course, if you're getting absolutely shredded to the bone, then there will be some punishment. But of course, that is a temporary process. You're not going to be able to maintain a ridiculous level of conditioning unless you are a genetic anomaly. But that is pretty much the blueprint. Again, there's a lot of kind of details I haven't touched on, which I will do in future videos. But the most important thing as well is you need to be patient and enjoy the journey. Okay, you probably heard it 100 times before, but it is genuinely the process that is the best part. When you get to your end physique, you'll feel amazing, but getting there is one of the most fun and enjoyable processes. The person you become in that process as well, the confidence you build by, doing something that you set out to achieve, you feel amazing for it. Okay, so you need to learn to enjoy the journey, because if you enjoy it, you'll be consistent with it. And then you need to also recognize it's a lifestyle. It's not some quick 6-week transformation thing. It has to be a lifestyle. Okay, but if you found this video useful, then do hit the subscribe button. If you have watched until the end, I'm going to say this right now on the video. I am going to commit to uploading to YouTube 3 times per week as a bare minimum, some weeks more, for 365 days straight. Like, this is what I said to myself when I did my lean bulk. I stuck to it. I'm doing the same thing for YouTube. So if you're watching this, you're early to the channel, hit the subscribe button, and I'm going to be making a lot of high value content and really help transform as many lives as possible. If you found it useful, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.